A devastating interview. A disturbed mind. Lori Vallow, the mother who shocked the world, talks about her crimes with a chilling coldness. But does she really understand the gravity of what she's done? Meanwhile, a brutally disturbing case of a teenage girl who went missing and was dismembered after being lured by strangers online. What happens when the internet becomes fertile ground for monsters? Get ready to dive into stories that will mess with your mind. Watch now and uncover the darkest secrets. Lori Vallow's interview on Dateline sparked an immediate and intense reaction, leading many to call for a deeper analysis. From the moment it aired, the conversation became one of the central talking points in the true crime world. Lori's behavior throughout the interview seemed completely disconnected from the seriousness of the charges against her, leaving many viewers stunned and perplexed by her strange and unrealistic demeanor. Watching the interview, it became clear that Lori seemed to be living in an alternate reality. Her speech and expressions showed no sign of remorse, and her responses were, at best, unsettling. When she talked about being exonerated, based on visions she claimed to have received from Jesus, her confidence was unwavering. She insisted that both she and Chad Daybell would be acquitted, as though it were an indisputable certainty, even in the face of evidence that contradicted her version of events. What's truly shocking is Lori's complete disregard for the victims, especially when she tried to create a narrative where her daughter Tylee supposedly killed her brother JJ and then took her own life. This kind of distortion of the truth is both cruel and heartless, particularly when we know the reality of the deaths. Lori's attempt to manipulate the facts and place the blame on Tylee is a desperate effort to escape the charges. But it only worsens her public image, with many seeing her as a completely inhumane mother. Rather than offering any understanding of her actions, the interview only deepened the public's anger toward Lori. Her insistence on sticking with a twisted version of events, claiming that society just doesn't understand her, only confirms that she seems unwilling to accept the gravity of her crimes. This not only strengthens the belief that she's trying to manipulate the narrative in her favor, but also pushes her further away from reality, making it even harder to believe that she will ever truly recognize the full extent of the damage she has caused. In another controversial case, Karen Reed faces a retrial for the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe. John was found dead in the snow after a night of drinking, and the circumstances surrounding his death raise many questions. The prosecution claims that Karen, apparently drunk, ran over John and left him to die. However, the defense offers a very different version of events, presenting new evidence that could change the direction of the trial. The true story of what happened that night is far from clear. Karen's retrial is based on a series of contested pieces of evidence. The defense argues that the prosecution didn't present all the relevant material during the first trial. One key piece of evidence that was overlooked is a 42-minute video that could have shown important details about the condition of Karen's vehicle after the accident. This video could support the claim that evidence was tampered with by the police, creating a scenario that wrongfully incriminated Karen. Karen's defense also questions the logic behind the prosecution's case. If she had really run over John, the marks on the vehicle and the position of the body would suggest a much more severe impact than what was recorded. Furthermore, there are claims that Karen was the target of a plot by others, possibly involved in a dispute at a party that night. The defense suggests that someone else, not Karen, may have been responsible for John's death, and that she was wrongly blamed due to a series of failures in the investigation. However, the retrial is expected to be complicated. The possibility of evidence manipulation could shine a light on corruption within the justice system, with Karen's lawyers aiming to ensure she gets a fair trial. The claim that the police failed to present crucial evidence could be a game changer, putting the case in a new, potentially favorable light for the defense. Scheduled for April, Karen's retrial has caught public attention and sparked debates about the effectiveness of the justice system. With many uncertainties and differing opinions among those involved, this case continues to challenge perceptions of truth and justice. The outcome of the retrial will be crucial in determining whether Karen will be held accountable or if, in fact, the system failed in its investigation. Meanwhile, the public eagerly awaits further revelations about the case, as new information about the incident continues to emerge. Karen's retrial becomes a symbol of how justice can be flawed and how, too often, evidence can be manipulated to fit a convenient narrative. The case of Andra Reyes, a child kidnapped in 1999, has finally come to a close. In 2023, after years of mystery, Andra's story was reopened with new clues and an unexpected twist. Andra's story began with her mother, Rosa, kidnapping her at the age of 2 and taking her to Mexico. For years, authorities believed Rosa was hiding Andra in Puebla, but despite intense searches, her whereabouts were never confirmed. However, in a shocking turn of events, in 2023, a woman contacted Andra's father, claiming to be the kidnapped daughter. She said she recognized her face in age-progressed photos, and the connection to the past seemed real. This woman, now an adult, asked to have her DNA tested against her father's, hoping to finally solve the mystery that had haunted her for decades. The DNA test confirmed that she was indeed Andra, and the reunion with her father was an emotional moment. Still, the answers about what happened during all those years remain largely unknown. Andra's mother, Rosa, is still at large, with an active arrest warrant, but her location is unknown. While Andra has been reunited with her father, the true dynamics of her life with Rosa and what happened during the years she was missing is still a huge mystery. Meanwhile, the investigation into the case continues. The fact that Andra was kidnapped by her mother and kept hidden for so long raises questions about how authorities handle these cases. The lack of information about Andra's whereabouts for so many years is unsettling, but the reunion with her father provides some much-needed closure. At the same time, the search for Rosa continues, with the hope that one day she will be found and face the consequences of her actions. Andra's reunion with her father symbolizes a happy ending to a story that seemed without resolution. But the journey to rebuild their relationship will be long. The case also highlights the ongoing need for vigilance in custody and kidnapping cases, where children often disappear without a trace. Andra has finally found freedom, but the impact of her kidnapping on her life will continue to be a topic of exploration for years to come. In early March 2023, a tragic accident shocked England when a car crashed into a soccer field full of children. The emergency call, received by services, described the chaos as the car struck 2 children, one of whom died. The driver, a 40-year-old man, was arrested on suspicion of dangerous driving, but the circumstances of the accident are still under investigation. The event was so shocking that it prompted an immediate reaction from the community and authorities. The younger victim, a 10-year-old child, tragically lost their life in the accident, while another, an 8-year-old girl, survived. With minor injuries, the soccer field, which is usually a safe place for children to play, turned into a nightmare scene. The car, a BMW i4, was speeding, and authorities suspect the driver lost control while trying to bypass the field's safety barrier, colliding with everything in his path. The investigation into the cause of the accident is still ongoing. The driver has been arrested, but it is still unclear what led him to act so recklessly. Authorities have ruled out, for now, that the incident was an intentional attack, but the community continues to question how something so horrific could happen. Evidence, like tire marks on the car and the location of the crash, is being carefully examined in an attempt to determine what caused this tragedy. The emotional impact on the community has been immense. Parents and children who were once playing and having fun were forced to face an unexpected and devastating loss. Investigators are still piecing together the puzzle, but what's clear is that the driver acted irresponsibly, and a child's life was lost in a moment that should have been joyful. This accident serves as a grim reminder of the vulnerability of children in places that should be safe. Questions about what really happened that afternoon continue to arise, and the victims' families and the community are left waiting for answers. The story, so far, is one of pain, uncertainty, and a desperate search for explanations. Miranda Corse, a 16-year-old girl, disappeared in February 2023 after being lured to a meeting with Stephen and Michelle, a criminal couple. They convinced her to leave home, promising her friendship and an online connection. However, what started as an online chat quickly turned into a terrifying nightmare. Miranda was kidnapped and brutally tortured for several days, accused of theft, an unfounded accusation. Stephen and Michelle, known for prior violent crimes, acted even more viciously than expected. During the kidnapping, Stephen forced Miranda to swallow a pool ball and suffocated her with plastic, leading to her death. After killing her, they dismembered Miranda's body and disposed of her parts in a trash bin. While the police made a quick arrest of Stephen, Miranda's body has still not been found, and the search continues, with fears that it may be in a landfill, making recovery even harder. The case drew attention to the dangers of online interactions, especially for vulnerable teenagers. The ease with which criminals can disguise themselves as trustworthy people online puts young people like Miranda at risk, lured by the promise of true friendship. Miranda's suffering was indescribable, and the fact that she was tortured so brutally raises questions about how these online interactions are monitored and regulated. Miranda's case also sheds light on the lack of measures to ensure the safety of young people on the internet. Blind trust in unknown people online may have been what led her to such a tragic end. At the same time, the investigation into the Meetup case reveals more about the motivations of Stephen and Michelle, who have been charged with first-degree murder. Now, with both of them arrested, Miranda's case still leaves many unanswered questions. What drove Stephen and Michelle to commit such horrors? And how can we better protect our children and teenagers from criminals hiding behind screens? This case serves as a painful reminder that the online world can be a dangerous place, and educating young people about the risks they face is crucial. In what initially seemed like a mysterious case, the deaths of Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy sparked speculation about homicide and natural causes. When their bodies were found, authorities initially suspected foul play, given the condition they were in. But as the investigation progressed, new findings revealed that, instead of a violent crime, the deaths could have been caused by health conditions, particularly the rare disease Betsy had. This case highlighted how initial evidence can drastically alter investigations and the impact rare diseases can have on the lives of seemingly healthy individuals. The case began to be reassessed when it was discovered that Betsy died from hantavirus, a rare disease transmitted by rodents. The bacteria spreads through the urine, feces, and saliva of infected rodents, severely affecting the lungs. This discovery led investigators to believe that Betsy's cause of death was not suspicious, but rather a tragic medical condition. The shocking detail about Betsy's death, such a rare disease, left the community in disbelief. However, this reasoning also raised further questions about Gene's death. Gene Hackman, who had advanced Alzheimer's disease, also died under complicated circumstances. The investigation revealed that he probably passed away a week before his wife due to heart complications. A crucial clue emerged when the data from Gene's pacemaker was analyzed. The records showed that the device detected a heart rhythm failure, confirming that his death was caused by heart failure. This discovery was key in clarifying that Gene's cause of death was natural, despite the initial confusion. However, some experts still question how quickly the natural death conclusion was reached. Many people continue to believe that there's more to the case than what appears at first glance. After all, the fact that the bodies were found days later, and that the husband didn't notice his wife's death due to his Alzheimer's, raises questions about what really happened during that period. The details remain unclear, leaving some investigators and observers skeptical about the final conclusion. The resolution of Gene and Betsy Hackman's case reminds us how health conditions, such as Alzheimer's and rare diseases, can complicate even the simplest investigations. While their deaths were ruled natural, the investigation shed light on how ignorance of certain diseases can lead to false assumptions and complicate case resolutions. Gene and Betsy's story is a grim reminder of the complexities of death and the need to examine every aspect of an investigation without rushing to conclusions. Lori Vallow remains a polarizing figure, with public opinion divided on her guilt. Her recent interview on Dateline, filled with surreal statements and strange behaviors, has sparked even more intense reactions. The media has treated Lori with a mix of repulsion and fascination, while many believe she will never show remorse for the crimes she committed. Her lack of regret and insistence on her warped version of reality only fuel the hatred people feel for her. In the interview, Lori stands firm in her religious beliefs, stating that she and Chad Daybell will be exonerated. She believes her actions, no matter how incomprehensible they may seem, were part of a divine plan, a prophetic vision she received directly from Jesus. The way Lori behaves during the interview, as if in a state of denial, only generates more outrage. For many, this is a clear sign of a completely unhinged mind that refuses to accept the gravity of the crimes she has committed. Lori and Chad, now known as the zombie cult couple, claim their victims were possessed by evil spirits, which made them threats. The victims? Her own children, Tylee and JJ. This insane explanation is repeated by Lori throughout the interview, leading many to question her mental state. Some still wonder if she truly believes what she's saying, or if she's simply trying to manipulate public opinion and the judicial system. With Lori's trial approaching, many are wondering what else will be revealed about her. Lori Vallow's case has sparked endless discussions, with theories and speculations about her sanity and the motives behind her actions. Some believe she may be a cold, calculated criminal, while others think she's a victim of her own twisted beliefs. Regardless, one thing is certain. Lori continues to be a figure that evokes both fascination and revulsion in equal measure. As the trial nears, Lori remains isolated, but her actions continue to attract attention. Many hope the court will provide definitive answers about what really happened, while others already feel she may never truly be held accountable for the horrors she caused. The story of Lori Vallow, a case of manipulation, psychosis, and tragedy, continues to unfold in unexpected ways, leaving the public in suspense about the future of this woman who somehow still dominates the headlines. The cases presented in this video highlight, in various ways, the fight for justice in a world increasingly dominated by social media. The ease with which criminals can manipulate victims through these platforms, as seen in the Miranda Corset case, demonstrates the destructive power the internet holds. Predators hide behind screens, pretending to be trustworthy people, and use this to lure their victims. In a digital world, danger is often just a click away, and the consequences can be fatal. Social media has become a dangerous tool, especially for vulnerable teenagers like Miranda. The ease with which she was lured into a meeting with Stephen, and Michelle illustrates how naivety and the desire for belonging can be exploited. With Miranda's case, it's clear that online monitoring and education about digital dangers have never been more necessary. Unrestricted access to social platforms comes with a responsibility that is not always understood by the most vulnerable, like young people. Authorities have also faced criticism for how they handled Miranda's disappearance. While the investigation quickly identified those responsible, many people questioned the initial response. The time lost searching for Miranda could have made all the difference. Cases like this highlight the importance of acting swiftly in missing persons cases, and the failure to ensure that young people are properly protected online is an issue that needs urgent attention. This episode also serves as a warning for parents, educators, and society in general. Miranda's story is a painful lesson that we need to be more aware of the risks of the digital world. We must educate our children about online threats and ensure they understand the need to exercise caution when interacting with strangers online. Digital platforms, though useful, also open doors to immense dangers, and it's everyone's responsibility to help protect future generations. The cases we've discussed here, from Lori Vallow to Miranda Corset, serve as a reminder that justice is often a hard-fought battle, especially when evidence is manipulated or ignored. The fight for justice in such complex cases is a struggle that requires patience, vigilance, and above all, a commitment to the truth. May stories like these not just be reminders of a dark past, but motivate real change in how we handle justice and online safety.